Hi, this is Yabo.
I'm Jennifer, and we are Present Pilgrimage.
Welcome. Today, this section talks about race and human difference. I love calling it human difference because I think gender comes into play. Mm-hmm. I think all the intersectionalities of the isms comes into play. Mm-hmm. And so for me as an immigrant, and I was a biracial person, I'm particularly more sensitive to the term human difference than just race, because I feel like I am like the intersection of intersections. So I wanted to tell our listening audience, I wanted to read a post to them by my precious, precious friend, Bishop Nolan McCants. He is a bishop of Harvest Church Plainfield in Illinois, but he doesn't want to be known for that. He loves being known as a photographer, and he's a global photographer. He goes all over the world. He's been in Yola, in Nigeria, in the Cameroons, and like he goes into the bush. Like he goes into all these crazy little places that I've never been to. And he loves really capturing the voices and lives of the people. And one of my favorite shots he took was called Repentance, where he was in this church in Onitsha. And all of a sudden he was preaching, and all of a sudden, like, you know, it was like a Pentecostal type church, and this thing broke out where people started falling on their faces, repenting for selling their people into slavery. And he stopped preaching and grabbed his camera and started taking pictures. And the picture captures so much. So anyway, he's someone whose work I respect. He's someone who, as a person, I respect. And he posted something on Facebook. He's African American, in case I didn't say that. There's something he wrote today that I really thought was valuable, and I wanted us to discuss it and add or take away from it. He says, to my white friends wanting to engage black folks, here are 10 things to know. 1, simple eye contact. A smile and a hello, my name is a good start. And I agree with that so much. Since when I came to this country is when I realized one of the unnamed American things is not making direct eye contact, holding a person's gaze.
A good exercise would be just to notice when you're talking to someone, if you do, and I've tried to be more cognizant because I realize how little I have done it.
Right, like just you're at the checkout at the store and you just, hi, your name is Tanisha? Hi, my name's Iyabo. How are you? And they look at you like, huh? What happened?
Yeah.
I love that from Fearless Dialogues. Okay, number 2. Listen to learn, not fix. Yes. We're not seeking affirmation.
Yes.
Listen to learn, not fix.
So it's funny, it's great he used those words, same words that kind of popped in my head when we were talking about the police patties trying to intervene in a situation that, you know, stop, observe, listen, learn. There's something to be learned.
Yep.
You don't know it all. You don't know what's going on all the time in every situation.
Right. And I think that's a way of breaking down how does white privilege manifest and show up in the world. Because I think if you're privileged, the one thing I know about privilege is it's blind. You just like you cannot see yourself unless you're looking in a mirror. Yes. Privilege is blind. That's one of the traits of it. So you don't know how it shows up. You're just told as a white person, oh, you have all this privilege. Well, what the heck does that mean to you as a white person, right?
Because someone of equal privilege has to be the mirror, but then how do those people get shown something else when they're not even able to see what that is?
Absolutely. Yeah, and so he's telling us, listen to learn, not fix. And I wrote a blog post on this recently about who do you learn from? Yeah. You always learn from someone you admire, you respect, you hold in esteem. I have to have a certain amount of value to you for you to say, yeah, but I need to learn something from you. And so you have to perceive me as a teacher. A teacher has a lot of power. You know, they teach, you know, they're writing on the script that is your mind. So if you're listening to learn, you're automatically communicating respect and power and asset that you have assets I need to hear from and learn from. So I love that one. Number 3, condescension is common among many whites and is a huge turnoff.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think real fast of what condescension sounds like. Oh, yeah, let me tell you. You speak English really well. You ever heard that?
Compliments.
You ever heard that? You speak. Has anybody ever told you, Jennifer, a white American Southern woman, that you speak English very well?
I cannot recall.
I get told that all the time. I also get told, wow, you have a really large vocabulary, because I use words like, I don't know, erudite or something, you know. I like words. I'm a wordsmith. What can I say? But things like that, you know, or you're different. There's a lot of condescension in that. And I think, again, it relates to the previous one, which has to do with power and who do you learn from. Avoid any attempt to deny us our right to feel and express our feelings. Oh, boy. You shouldn't feel that way.
Yeah.
Don't take it so personal. They didn't mean anything by that.
Yeah.
Can
And anger and frustration. And you might be able to speak to that, but at my class, in my class at Candler, when we talked about racial justice and, you know, lots around incarceration and mass incarceration and racism, just outright systemic oppression, giving room in the class for everyone to share and express in a feeling way, you know, to feel it come in, to cry or to get angry. That's valuable, but it makes people uncomfortable, and especially in academic setting.
Oh my gosh, let me tell you, I remember in one of my classes, a woman wrote a poem, and it was her day to do a devotion or something to somehow engage the class. And it was very uncomfortable for me, and even here my privilege comes into play, because she talked as an African American woman about waking up every day and needing to go through a psychological process to say, I'm leaving the house. I have to go out into this world where I'm immediately informed how different I am. I have to put on my mask. I have to, you know, how there's some days she doesn't feel like going out in the world and being black. She just wants to be human. And I have never experienced that. And it was in that class I realized my privilege of being born, even though my background is a little different in that I'm biracial. I was born in Africa. I can't say I was born in an environment where everyone looked like me.
Yeah.
They didn't look like me, but my skin color was not a threat or was not being diminished in society. So I have never woken up to say, oh my God, I don't feel like going to deal with the world today because I'm black, because I'm an immigrant, because I'm biracial, because I'm whatever. And to come to the realization and there was so much agreement with other African Americans in the class where they were shaking their heads and nodding, and then came up this robust discussion about it. And I remember sitting there and saying, this is what privilege feels like in this moment, that I didn't grow up with that message. And so it's not normal for me. I wake up, I leave my house, and I'm really not expecting a whole lot of anything to happen to me in terms of my race. And when it does happen, it does happen, don't get me wrong, but it's not my expectation. I'm not conditioned because I didn't grow up here.
Right. Conditioning, yeah.
Yes. So that's avoid any attempt to deny us our right to feel and express our feelings. So that's pretty cool. Number 5 is keep in mind that we have and continue to survive, thrive, and succeed against insurmountable odds in this country. So we don't need sympathy. Become acquainted with empathy.
Nice. We
Isn't
talk
that
about
nice?
that. Yes, I
Tell
love
us
that
the difference
difference
between sympathy and empathy.
Sympathy is condescending in a way, or you can say, I think feeling bad's not the best terminology, but empathy is actually being present in the moment, not allowing yourself to shut down, listening and learning, and just being that presence, that supportive presence, and with the intention of validating and supporting that person while they're expressing themselves. I would say that's empathy. not aligning yourself and saying, oh, I can relate because the same thing happened to me, or I know what you're going through. But intentionally, it takes a little effort, intentionally putting yourself in a position of listening, validating, reflecting someone's experience, not shutting it down, not criticizing, not belittling it, but being that presence for someone. That's what I would say empathy is.
When I think of empathy, the one thing that I think of that just exemplifies empathy to me is the Jewish concept of sitting shiva. When someone dies and you just go sit with them.
Yes.
And I think the difference between sympathy and empathy for me is with empathy, I enter into the space of your grief and I'm reminded of my own grief and our shared and common humanity. Yes. And I'm going to sit in this mess with you because that's the best I can do. I'm not going to fix it.
Yes.
I can't.
Yes.
But I'm just going to humble myself.
Yes.
And whatever it is you need right now, I'm there for you. Whereas sympathy, there's something in sympathy that says, I'm viewing you through the lens of a loss. I feel sorry for you.
A little bit.
There's a distancing there. I'm not entering into your suffering with you. Yet I've suffered too. So I think, and not that sympathy is wrong. I mean, we send condolence cards, we send sympathy cards, we sympathize with people. It's not that one is wrong than the other. It's just that with one, you're able to keep a distance. Yeah. Whereas what we're saying is see our humanity and share it with us.
I think empathy
You can just say it, yeah.
I think empathy is most effective when you're sitting in the presence of somebody else. And sympathy is easy to do when you're far away. So it's about that personal interaction. Okay. But you can also feel empathy when you watch something on TV or you hear about a friend and you just kind of sit with that for a while. I think that can be empathy.
Cool. The next one is, it is not our goal to become white people wearing various shades of brown. We love our blackness and everything else, and everything it means. Oh my gosh, I love that. It is not our goal to become white people wearing various shades of brown. That's all about assimilation and trying to be, one monolithic way of showing up in the world. But, I thought of something. Going back to the previous one, keep in mind that we have and continue to survive, thrive, and succeed. This is why you will see stuff go down and there will be like this comedic outbreak in the Black community. Because humor plays a huge role in the Black community. There was a video I posted on Facebook
what was the
about
phrase, sorry, use joy in the face of...
Yes, I want to talk about that too. So there was this video, this couple were on the shuttle bus to the airport, this older African-American couple, and this little white girl was sitting between them and would not move over so they could sit together. So the husband just starts taking selfies that includes this white girl and his wife, and starts posting them on social media. And then when they get to the gate or whatever, they made this video and they tell the story and they kiss at the end. And it's funny because Dave, one of our listeners, said he felt this was a way of covering up anger or using humor, to deflect the real anger they were feeling. Yeah. To me, it was like, let's turn this into a party. You want to act like a butt? Let me show you how to really do it. Yeah. And I so admired that expression of resilience in the midst of this. In our tense moments, in our tense times, right? They brought humor to it. The other thing I feel strongly about is another friend of mine who I know is going through a bunch of stuff. Can I just add
to that? I appreciate it. So, did you read about the whole Scarlett Johansson controversy about her playing a transgender man?
Really? Is that where that came from? Yeah. I asked someone, they showed her as Harriet Tubman.
Yes.
And I was like, why would she play Harriet Tubman?
Which I just appreciated because it was like, okay, let's just take this to that
to the
level.
Nth level. And that humor, humor is something I want to study, the theory of humor, because I'm so serious-minded, right?
Study the theory.
I know, right? I would. Iyaba would have a book. Humor, it's history and theological whatevers, right? So because I see humor as a tool that relieves stress, a tool that speaks truth to power,
Yeah.
a tool that makes communities come together and identify. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on in humor, and I'm not, like, I don't watch comedy that much. It's not my thing, right? Some people love all kinds of comedy. You do. You like a lot of comedy stuff. So I'm learning about the role humor plays in actually healing a society.
Yeah.
And we can even talk more about that
Yeah,
in our next
let's talk
segment on
more.
self-care. Okay. The next one my buddy Nolan says is that, he talked about, it's not our goal to become white people wearing various shades of brown. Really think about that. Mm-hmm. Are you asking people to become more like you so they're more socially acceptable to you? Mm-hmm. And therefore, are you denying that person their own uniqueness, their own humanity? So the next one is number 7. Through forced immersion, we know you better than you know us. Man.
Oh, when I read that was like, powerful. And like engaging in real conversation, having people say, or just, bring up things about my life, myself, my actions that I may not notice because being blind in certain ways, and just like picking up on things and being like, oh yeah, you're right. I do that. Or these are things that does happen.
Like, because of the power differential, we see privilege and we can spot it a mile away. So like a friend of mine, I won't out you on here, Carlton, says white gone white. Right? Meaning a white person is going to default to their social conditioning and behave like white people do, which defaults to an oppressive stance in all things being equal. Not that everybody is oppressive, not that every action is, but that's a lens he sees the world through because of his history as a black man.
And I just wonder how many African Americans or people of color can anticipate a series of actions or reactions by a white person. Like, they're going to say that, and then they're going to do
all
that,
day,
and then they're going to do that, and then they're going to say that.
All day. So you don't know us like we know you, is what he's saying. So I think there's a lot of truth in that. We are expressive and passionate, not angry. This goes back to our feelings. Mm-hmm. Like, first of all, white culture believes in niceness. So if you think of where white Americans came from England, manners, manners, stiff upper lip, and anger can be just so offensive. Whereas it is within the spectrum of normal human feelings. Grief, right. Yeah. You're not allowed to be depressed. Mm-hmm. You're not allowed to be angry. You're not allowed to be loud. You're not allowed to laugh too much. You have to stay in this very narrow realm of being human or expressing your humanity. And he's saying, just let us be.
I remember working as a chaplain at Northside Hospital in the CPE program, and we had a lot of discussion around if certain African American families from certain religious backgrounds were grieving, and the expression of emotion, and my family's very Germanic, and like, we don't have emotions, so it would make me nervous. I'd be like, well, what do I do? Just kind of being aware that that's the process of grief.
And I guess a good way of gauging it is like, how long can I stay in this space and not have to take control of the lament?
Yes.
Just sit with it.
Just count and
just be there. Be there. Yeah. Don't run away. Okay, this is their expression of lament and grief, which is very biblical.
Yes.
How long can I sit here and take it? Now, please bear in mind, I can't always take it. Mm-hmm. I have my own personality, whatever, is that I can't always take it. Mm-hmm. But I know that even back home in Nigeria, we have professional mourners. And I'm like, oh my God, I gotta go. Bye. That's where my mom comes in. I gotta go. I can't take it. Okay, Nolan says, number 9, it's helpful if you learn about the many ways we have contributed to this nation. Our schools and institutions won't tell you. Can we just do a whole podcast on Black contribution?
Yeah.
And Black excellence and Black amazingness?
I grew up, I was a child in Georgia. I went to one of the I went to Lovett when I was a kid here. I don't remember anything. And I went through elementary school about, we didn't have Black History Month for sure. Civil rights movement, not one touch. And thankfully, my daughter at Chambly has more of it. There's more awareness. But that was just not even, and that was real. I mean, it was happening, it's not past,
It was
forecast.
current affairs
Yeah.
for you.
And nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
We could do a whole podcast on that. And I think even in Africa, there's also the conversation about how we're being taught history through the lens of Western civilization and not through our own indigenous lens. And I just go back to I feel like once a week I could post this Chinua Achebe quote on the story of the hunt is never told by the lion. It's always told by the hunter that killed the lion, right? And
history
always
is written by those who win.
Who win. Like always think who is the loser and what's the loser's story. So that's a cool, important one. Thank you, Nolan. You're so smart. The last one is tell what you learn and destroy the stereotype. Stop the silence. I feel like there should be 10 podcasts. So when you learn something, tell another person. Stop, break up stereotypes. Like if you ask yourself once a week even, hopefully every day, several times a day, what am I doing to destroy stereotypes? Yeah. I think it would be incredibly helpful. If you want to follow Nolan's photography, his name is Nolan, Nolan McCants, MCANTS, photographer. He's in Chicago. You'll love his work, so enjoy that. While we talked about race, let's wrap it up there. I think that's a good one.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening.
Talk to you soon. Bye.